When my boyfriend and I broke up, it was a messy and painful experience. In the year he loved me most, I took the 3 million yuan his mother gave me, had an abortion, and betrayed him. He knelt outside the abortion clinic, crying and begging me not to be so cruel. He said he would hate me for the rest of his life. 6 years later, we met again. He had found a beautiful girlfriend from a suitable family and was about to get married. I, in a desperate state, tracked him down to ask for some money. He forced me to attend his wedding and watch him marry another woman. He asked me, "Do you regret it?" He didn't know that I had raised our child alone. The child fell ill and was on the brink of death. 6 years after the breakup, at the lowest point of my life, I reunited with Ethan. It was a class reunion, and no one expected Ethan to show up. Someone joked, "Ethan boss never keeps in touch with us. Why did he suddenly come to the class reunion this year? Did he hear that Claire was here and came to find her?" I sat in the corner, my back stiffening suddenly, and looked up to see Ethan with a cigarette in his mouth, staring at me coldly. Everyone knew how much Ethan had loved me in the past. He was the spoiled son of a wealthy family, yet he fell deeply in love with me at first sight. That year, he cut off all ties with his family for me, renouncing power and wealth, and fought desperately to be with me. We lived in a tiny rented apartment, sharing a bowl of instant noodles and a bowl of porridge, living a hard yet happy life. Every night, we held hands tightly, swearing to be together forever. Until one day, I became pregnant. His mother gave me $3 million to abort our child and leave him. That day, Ethan knelt outside the operating room, pounding on the door. He cried and begged me over and over again, Claire Bear. I'll work hard, earn money, and support our family. I'll earn many, many more 3 million, and I'll give it all to you, okay? I beg you, don't leave me, and don't abandon our child." I lay on the operating table, biting my lips tightly to stop myself from crying out. Through the small door, I heard Ethan say he would hate me for the rest of his life. No one knew how ugly our breakup with Ethan had been. Someone pushed me toward Ethan, laughing and asking him, "Ethan boss once loved Claire so much he was willing to give his life for her. How could he just abandon her now?" Everyone was cheering, urging us to get back together. Ethan's brother glanced at me, sneered, and suddenly said, "What kind of woman can Ethan boss not get? Who does Claire think she is? Why should I, E-man, still be obsessed with her?" He said there was a woman who had been with Ethan for 3 years. That woman was gentler than me, more beautiful than me, and more suited to be Ethan's girlfriend. Ethan had been in love with her for 3 years, and his brothers even called her sister-in-law. It was said that they were about to get married. All the laughter and chaos stopped, but Ethan's brother kept smiling, inviting everyone to attend Ethan's wedding. He flung the invitation at me, it landed on my face and fell into my lap. I lowered my head and saw Ethan's name on the invitation, with another girl's name beside it. Her name was Sophia. From her name alone, she must be a good girl. I thought she must be more mature than me, more obedient, and better at taking care of people, and wouldn't make Ethan sad all the time. After 6 years apart, it was good to know he was doing well. I held back the tears that were about to fall, lifted my head, and said to Ethan, "Congratulations." Ethan stared at me intently. When he heard me say, "Congratulations," he suddenly smiled, crushed the cigarette in his hand, and coldly said to me, "Claire, you don't need to come to the wedding. My wife will be unhappy if she sees you. If she's unhappy, I'll feel heartbroken." I clutched the thin red invitation card and froze. I smiled and nodded, whispering, "All right." That day, everyone said Ethan must not love me anymore. No one could have imagined that we once loved each other so deeply. In the end, he was getting married, but the bride wasn't me. Everyone thought Ethan would wait for me forever. Everyone was curious about who this girl named Sophia was, who could make Ethan so obsessed and so loving. I knew Ethan didn't want to see me anymore, so I left the class reunion early. On the way home, a friend sent me a photo of Sophia. In the photo, Sophia looked very pure. I heard she loved to laugh and was very affectionate, exactly the kind of girl Ethan liked. My friend asked me, "Claire, don't you think Sophia's smile looks a lot like yours? Do you think Ethan still loves you? Are you really just going to end things like this?" I exhaled softly, remained silent for a long time, then smiled and said, "It doesn't matter anymore. I don't care. I didn't want to get entangled with Ethan anymore. I thought he would never know that I had secretly given birth to our child, hiding it from everyone. That child fell ill and was near death. That year was the poorest and most difficult year of my life. I worked tirelessly to earn money, wanting to give that child the best medicine so he wouldn't suffer so much when he was sick. For money, I could bring myself to attend class reunions and borrow from people, or work as a hostess in a club, drinking until my stomach bled. I thought this might be the last time Ethan and I would ever see each other. Until a few days later, the girl named Sophia found me. Sophia must have heard from someone that she looked a lot like me and wanted to meet me. She came to the club with a few friends, specifically asking for me. One of the girls asked me, "You're Claire, right? Ethan's ex-girlfriend?" Her eyes were filled with contempt, staring at my heavily made-up face as if to say, "You're so dirty." I clenched my fists, holding back my anger to avoid trouble, and only asked them if they wanted to drink. If they didn't want to drink, they shouldn't waste my time. The girl probably thought I wasn't giving her face, so she shouted at me, "What's your attitude? I'm talking to you, can't you hear me? You're being ungrateful." She pointed to a bottle of hard liquor and said to me, "All right, Claire, you like money, right? Drink this whole bottle in one go, and I'll give you 20,000. Drinking that bottle would probably land you in the hospital." Sophia pretended to be a bit worried and tried to calm the girl down, saying, "We agreed we'd just take a look, right? We wouldn't make things difficult for Miss Claire. Everyone says she's good at seducing men and told me to be careful around her. Even EJ said I'm too naive and might get taken advantage of. But I'm fine." I listened quietly to Sophia's words and roughly understood that she was telling me how much Ethan liked her and how much he hated me. I smiled and didn't say anything, just asked her friend, "We agreed, right? I'll drink a bottle of wine, and you'll give me $20,000? Then I picked up the wine bottle on the table and started pouring it into my mouth. Everyone was stunned, not expecting me to risk my life for money. Sophia grabbed my hand and whispered, "Miss Claire, how could you ruin yourself like this for money? As women, we should know what shame is." I didn't want to say it because I didn't want you to feel bad, but do you know what? EJ hates women like you the most. I finished the bottle of wine, enduring the intense pain in my stomach, and interrupted her, asking, "Where's the money? What Ethan likes or dislikes has nothing to do with me. I just want the 20,000 you promised me." Sophia frowned, looked at me disappointedly, and said in a soft voice, "Miss Claire, to be honest, that 20,000 is just a small amount of money to me. I could give it to anyone, but I can't give it to you. You can blame me, but I'm doing this for your own good. I can't watch you continue to fall into ruin." Her friend pushed me aside and laughed, "I was just teasing you. I'm not giving you any money. What can you do to me?" I coldly laughed along with her, then raised my hand and smashed the wine bottle in my hand, sending shards of glass flying. One piece cut Sophia's leg, drawing blood. Sophia's tears fell instantly, and the women who had been moments ago fell silent. The next second, the door to the private room opened, and Ethan stood there, staring at me coldly. I froze in place, unable to meet his eyes. I was heavily made up, having spent the day drinking with men and entertaining them for money, and Ethan had seen it all. I wasn't afraid of others looking down on me, but I didn't want Ethan to know how desperate I was. But in the end, even that wish couldn't be fulfilled. I forced myself to act indifferent, lifting my head to watch Ethan pick Sophia up and gently wipe away her tears. Then he asked me, word by word, "Claire, who are you bullying in front of me? Want money? Fine, apologize first." Looking at Ethan protecting Sophia, I remembered long ago when he had once protected me like that. I knew Ethan wanted me to make Sophia happy. "It's okay. For money, I'll do anything." Sophia hid in Ethan's arms and smiled at me secretly. I looked at the wound on her leg, picked up a piece of broken glass, and slashed it across my own body. Then I extended my bloodied hand and calmly said to Ethan, "Give it to me. 20,000. Ethan looked at me, and his eyes suddenly welled up with tears. Sophia saw the expression on Ethan's face, and her smile froze. She pulled out a bank card, placed it in my hand, and said in a soft voice, "Miss Claire, I'm giving you the money today not because I owe you, but because I don't want to end up like you, fighting over a little money." I didn't bother to look at her pretending to be noble. I took the money and tried to leave, but Ethan grabbed me by the arm. He shouted my name, clenching his teeth and cursing me. Claire, don't you feel any pain? Can't you die if you don't have money? His furrowed brows looked like he was genuinely heartbroken. I forcefully shook off his hand, turned around, and sneered, I've always been a woman who loves money, Ethan. Don't you know that? Mind your own business and take care of your own woman. Don't come bother me again. Ethan stared at me with a cold, terrifying gaze, as if he wanted to devour me whole. What I said probably reminded him of the past, how he had given up everything for me, yet I had abandoned him for money. My stomach ached, and I didn't want to say another word. I turned to leave, but my body suddenly felt light, and the next moment, Ethan had me on his shoulders. He looked like a bandit stealing a woman, smoking a cigarette while carrying me out of the private room. Everyone turned to look, and I struggled desperately, begging Ethan to put me down. He raised his hand and slapped my butt, snarling, Claire, I owe you from a past life, and this life you're making me suffer. He threw me into the car, leaned over, pinned my legs down, and choked my face, shouting, Sometimes, I really want to kill you. His expression seemed to hate me, but his eyes kept telling me he still loved me. My stomach hurt so badly I couldn't speak, and I was sweating coldly, staring at him. Ethan frowned, opened the car's glove compartment, took out a stomach pill, and shoved it into my mouth. I saw in the corner of the glove compartment the lipstick I had used up but couldn't bear to throw away, the hair ties I had used to tie my hair and had broken, and the childish pink hairpin Ethan had bought for me long ago. Those items held everything about me, and they had stayed with Ethan for a long time after I left. Tears suddenly welled up in my eyes. I turned my head away and quickly wiped them away before Ethan noticed. After all these years, he still remembered that I had a weak stomach. Even when I wasn't there, he had grown accustomed to preparing painkillers for me. Yet I had mustered all my strength and pushed him away with all my might. I forced myself to smile at him and said, Ethan, please stop clinging to me. Your clinginess is really annoying. You probably don't know that I've already been married and had children. Do you really want to get back together with me? Ethan, don't be so pathetic. He was pushed back 2 steps and froze in place. As I stood up to leave, he suddenly reached out, pressed me against the car, grabbed my neck, and trembled, Claire, I don't believe you. You better tell me you're joking, or I'll kill you. I looked him straight in the eyes and said calmly, all right, I'll prove it to you. I took Ethan to the children's hospital. It was 9 o'clock at night, and the ward was still lit. I stood outside the ward, pointing through the glass at the quiet child reading inside, and told Ethan, that's my child. That child was Liam, my beloved Liam. He looked a lot like me, but his personality was like Ethan's, caring, gentle, yet a bit domineering, with a stubborn expression in his eyes. He had inherited all of Ethan's best qualities, he was such a good child. But he was sick, nearly 6 years old, thin and small, yet so obedient it broke my heart. Ethan stared at the child for a long time, then clenched his fist and slammed it against the wall. He lowered his head, as if a tear had fallen. I had never seen him look so helpless before. That night, the last words Ethan said to me were, Claire, you're brave. He didn't ask who the child's father was. He didn't recognize that child as his own. Later, Ethan never came looking for me again. I only heard that he bought Sophia a beautiful wedding dress and an expensive diamond ring, and took her home to meet his mother. I heard that his mother really liked Sophia, and Ethan said he would marry no one else for the rest of his life. The classmates all sighed, I envy Miss Sophia so much. To be loved by a man like Ethan Boss, treated like a princess. But Miss Sophia is a good woman, gentle and generous. She heard that Claire is now poor and wants to give her some money to help her. Such a kind woman deserves to be protected for the rest of her life. As I read the messages in the class group chat, my heart skipped a beat, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was about to happen. It wasn't until I arrived at the hospital that I heard from the nurse that Ethan and Sophia had come to visit Liam. The young nurse apologized to me, saying she had accidentally told Sophia that Liam didn't have a father. I heard Sophia ask Liam, Lily, I heard that your father abandoned you and your mother. Is that true? Do you know how pitiful your mother is? She's been drinking with all sorts of men every day to pay for your treatment. It's so disgusting. Actually, it's normal that your father doesn't want a woman like that. Liam shouted at her, you're lying. You're the one who's disgusting. We don't want your money. Get out. I rushed in, trembling all over. Sophia turned around and saw me, froze for a moment, then frowned and said, Miss Claire, look at your child. I just wanted him to know how hard you've been working, and he's yelling at me. He's so inconsiderate. Before Sophia could finish speaking, I grabbed her hair, slapped her twice, dragged her to the door, and pushed her into the hallway. I pointed at her nose and shouted, Sophia, you're just looking for trouble, aren't you? She covered her face, unable to believe I had dared to hit her. She pretended to be innocent and choked out, Miss Claire, I was just trying to help you. I didn't mean anything else. EJ didn't want to get involved with you, but luckily he listens to me and knows I'm kind. If I didn't help you, I'd feel guilty. I really wanted to help you, but now you've hit me, EJ is going to be angry with you again. I looked at Sophia and smiled coldly. So she had come to show off to me. She just couldn't resist letting me know how much Ethan loved her, more than he loved me. Looking at her ridiculous expression, I said coldly, Sophia, you want Ethan, just a man. I'll give him to you, but you're never satisfied. Why do you have to provoke me? Then I grabbed her collar and whispered, go ahead and keep provoking me. I'll even bless you and Ethan on your wedding day. And I'll tell him that the child I gave birth to is his. Do you think he'll still want you? Sophia froze in place. I watched her face turn pale as she clenched her teeth and said, now, go apologize to my son, then get out of here. Before I could finish, Ethan opened the ward door and walked out. He grabbed my arm and pulled me away. I lost my balance and slammed my back against the wall. He looked down at me and asked with a smile, Claire, how come I didn't know that I have to ask your permission to marry the woman I want? My wife married me, do I need you to give her to me? Do you think you're some kind of man? My back hit the wall, and I groaned in pain. Liam must have heard it, he ran out barefoot, stood in front of me, and glared at Ethan, not letting him touch me. Ethan looked down at him, smiled coldly, and said indifferently, you're just like your mother, annoying. I watched Liam's eyes slowly redden. Those words must have broken his heart. Under his pillow, he kept a photo of Ethan. He had always known that Ethan was his father. During those painful nights after he fell ill, he would fall asleep in his mother's arms, always dreaming that his father had come home. He said he missed Liam just as much as Liam missed him, and he would cry secretly. He said he wouldn't leave anymore and wouldn't let his mother suffer like that again. But when he woke up from the dream, Liam saw his father. He heard him say, you're just like your mother, annoying. Ethan only glanced at Liam before looking away. He seemed a bit irritated, frowned, and tossed a bank card to me, saying indifferently, take this to pay for your Lily's son's medical bills. $1 million or $10 million, it's up to you. Don't go out drinking anymore, and don't forget to thank my wife. After saying that, he hugged Sophia and turned to leave. Liam watched his father's receding figure and called out softly, Dad. Then he turned back, held back his tears, and whispered to me, Mom, Liam doesn't want his dad anymore. His expression was so serious, as if he had more to say, but he suddenly started coughing, spitting out blood, which stained the floor, my clothes, and the photo of Ethan he was clutching in his hand. I watched helplessly as he collapsed weakly in my arms, whispering, Mom isn't dirty, Mom is clean. It's all Liam's fault for getting Mom's clothes dirty. Mom, throw away Liam. Don't keep Liam. Don't make yourself suffer anymore. I heard his voice growing fainter as he slowly closed his eyes, screaming his name hysterically. I hadn't told him yet that in this world, there was no mother who would abandon her own child. He was the flesh and blood that had been carried in my womb for 10 months, a piece of me that had come into this world. The nurses around me were in a frenzy, taking him from my arms and rushing him to the emergency room. I forced myself to stay calm and followed behind. I looked up and saw Ethan running toward the end of the corridor. Tears streamed down his face as he trembled and asked me, Claire, did someone just call me Dad? I watched the emergency room door slam shut and the red light flash, then collapsed to the ground, unable to speak. Ethan reached out to hug me, but I grabbed his hand and bit down as hard as I could. He didn't flinch, just endured it until I tasted the blood and lost my strength. Finally, I collapsed and pushed him away. I stood up, despairing, and demanded, Ethan, why did you come back? Why are you clinging to me? I just wanted to part ways amicably. I'm doing just fine on my own. He clenched his teeth, cut me off, and asked me, "Claire, you ask me why I came back. Don't you know? I've been dying to see you. You say you're doing well? Borrowing money from everyone, drinking with people, ruining yourself, living a life that's fallen into the mud. Do you think that's good? Do you think I wanted to find you? I couldn't help but feel sorry for you. Tell me what I should do. Claire, you're the one who wronged me. What gives you the right to be so cruel to me? What qualifies you to tell me we should part ways amicably?" Ethan grabbed my shoulders and stared intently into my eyes. He wanted an answer, so I gave him one. That year, after graduating from university, Ethan cut off all ties with his family to marry me. He was targeted by everyone, couldn't find a decent job, and couldn't earn a single penny. He didn't say a word, kept it from me, and secretly took a manual labor job at a construction site. I still remember how tired he was every day, even when he slept, his brows furrowed. But the way he looked at me was always gentle and determined, filled with love. He said he would work hard to earn money, buy a small house, put my name on it, and give me a warm home. We would get married there, have children, and hold hands tightly, living a simple yet happy life together. But then, I became pregnant, and he had an accident at the construction site, falling from the roof and nearly dying. The doctor said that if he didn't receive treatment in time, Ethan might be paralyzed. I knew that Ethan was such a proud person, this was more painful than death for him. That day, I begged Ethan's mother to save her son. I will never forget the look of contempt and disgust in her eyes as she looked at me. She said she didn't need a son. Losing Ethan wasn't a big deal, even though he had once been the pride of the Harringtons, the most outstanding member of the entire Harrington family. But an Ethan who couldn't inherit the Harringtons wasn't her son. Why should she give $3 million to save a worthless piece of trash? That was the first time I realized that people could be so heartless. That day, I knelt on the ground, my forehead bleeding, begging her to lend me $3 million. I said, "I don't want Ethan anymore." I thought Ethan must hate me so much. Never mind, who says that people who deeply love each other must end up together? As I spoke, I grabbed Ethan's clothes and screamed at him, "You wanted to know who Liam's father is, didn't you? Fine, I'll tell you. He's your son. Are you happy now? He's about to die. Are you satisfied?" Ethan grabbed my hand, tears falling one by one, as if he were pitying me, yet he fiercely accused me, "Claire, how dare you lie to me? What right do you have to take my child and make him suffer so much? He's about to die, and you won't even come find me?" I slapped Ethan hard across the face, then burst into laughter and retorted, "Ethan, why would I come looking for you? To make you abandon everything again and come with me? Do you think your mother would ever forgive me or Liam? Ethan, there are so many things in this world more important than love. I don't want you anymore. I just want to live a quiet life. Why are you still haunting me? My child could have been cured. I don't need your money. Even if I have to borrow, steal, or rob, I can cure him on my own." He was so obedient and well-behaved. He never cried when he got injections or took medicine. The doctors said he could have gotten better. Until Ethan appeared with Sophia and once again disrupted my peaceful life. That day, Liam was saved by the doctors, but he fell into a coma, and no one knew when he would wake up. I stared blankly at him lying quietly in the hospital bed, as if he were asleep. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Sophia smiling secretly. She pretended to sigh, frowned, and scolded me, saying, "Miss Claire, if you had told EJ and me earlier, I wouldn't be so stingy. I could have let that child into the Harringtons and called me Mom. He didn't have to suffer so much. It's all your fault for being so pretentious. You almost killed him." She probably thought she could finally rest easy. Liam was alive but as good as dead, and between Ethan and me, there was now a wound that would never heal. She thought I would never forgive Ethan, and in the end, the woman who married Ethan would be her. She must have forgotten that I didn't want Ethan because I wanted a peaceful life. But now, everyone knows that Ethan and I have reunited, and they know that our child has grown up. There are plenty of people who won't let me live in peace. I think, since they don't want me to be happy, then none of us should be. Before Sophia could finish speaking, Ethan coldly interrupted her, telling her to shut up and get out. I quietly watched the child on the hospital bed and heard Sophia crying behind me in distress. She asked Ethan, "EJ, how could you drive me away for Claire? I've been by your side all these years. Whatever you wanted, I became. I love you more than Claire. Don't you know that? EJ, I'll be better than Claire. I'll never betray you. Don't abandon me, please. I listened to her words, smiled gently, turned to Ethan, and said, Ethan, I've changed my mind. I want you to marry me and take me home to the Harringtons. I want you to give me everything you have now. Then I smiled at Sophia's expression, looking at her, her face ashen. The next day, Ethan and Sophia called off the engagement. I moved out of the cheap rental and into Ethan's mansion, living with him openly, without any reservations. Someone took photos of me and posted them online. Soon, netizens uncovered that I was Ethan's first love. Someone leaked the story, claiming that Ethan had once loved me deeply, but I had betrayed him by getting pregnant with his child. They said I had demanded $3 million from his mother, promising to abort the child and disappear forever, but instead I secretly gave birth to the child and resurfaced to threaten him just as he was about to marry. Netizens sympathized with Sophia, saying she was so beautiful and came from such a wealthy family, she was the one who truly deserved Ethan. They know I used to drink with others, and they call me disgusting and scheming. Everything seems like it was planned in advance and quickly escalated. I coldly read the online comments, and when the public outrage reached its peak, I released an audio recording. The recording contains all the conversations between me and Ethan's mother from back then. I could clearly hear her say, I don't need a son. If Ethan is dead, he's dead. I also heard her say, the $3 million was a loan I gave you to save Ethan. This money will always be on your head. This was the only way I could think of to protect myself when I was at my most afraid and helpless. At the time, it seemed like a futile and childish act. But looking back now, it was the perfect move. That day, I won a decisive victory. The entire internet was ablaze with discussions about the ruthlessness of the wealthy elite and the suffering I endured to save Ethan. The matter quickly escalated to the level of corporate oppression of the common people, causing the Harrington stock prices to plummet. I heard that the entire board of directors intervened, demanding that Ethan immediately break up with me and get rid of me as a major problem. Ethan just smiled and coldly said in front of everyone, losing a little money? What's the big deal? As for Claire, I'm determined to marry her. Ethan didn't care at all. Now, trying to touch him wasn't as easy as it used to be. If he refused to be disciplined, no one could control him for a while. Finally, his mother couldn't stand it anymore and came to find me with Sophia. After 6 years, I saw this woman again. She looked much older than before. I heard that the board had pushed her to the brink, causing her to lose sleep for days and exhausting her mentally. I acted like the mistress of the house, smiling and inviting her in, but blocking Sophia at the door. Sophia could no longer pretend to be gentle and shouted at me, Claire, I knew you had ulterior motives. You're just trying to steal EJ from me. If you're so high and mighty, why didn't you just die when EJ was pursuing you? A dirty woman like you wants to marry into a wealthy family? You can dream on. Ethan's mother was so annoyed by her shouting that she waved her hand and hurriedly had someone close the door. I watched her with a gentle smile, picked up the peeled orange on the table, and asked her, would you like some? Ethan peeled it for me himself. She laughed angrily, glaring at me and said, Claire, I underestimated you before. I never thought you could be so patient. After all these years, you came back to seek revenge? She paused, composed herself, and spoke half threateningly, half pleadingly, actually, what happened these past few days is nothing to a family like ours. Once the dust settles, the Harringtons will still be a prominent family. But what about you? You're not suitable for Ethan. Why don't I give you some money and send you and your son abroad? You can live a quiet life there. If she had said these words 6 years ago, I might have believed her. But now, I am certain that the moment I leave Ethan, I will be skinned alive, my bones crushed into powder, and my remains thrown into the sea. The Harringtons would never allow such an accident to happen twice. I smiled and whispered to her, Auntie, your tactics aren't as effective as they used to be. You must be getting old. Your grip on power isn't as tight as it used to be, and your words lack conviction. This must be a bitter taste, isn't it? She was taken aback, probably never imagining that the girl who once begged for her life at her feet would now be sitting in her own home, turning the tables on her, leaving her powerless. She was breathing heavily, her facial muscles trembling slightly as she gritted her teeth and threatened me, Claire, do you think Ethan can protect you? The entire Harrington's family isn't under his control. If I can destroy you once, I can do it again. As long as I'm alive, you'll never marry into the Harrington's family. I finished eating the entire orange with a smile, then spoke calmly and slowly, "It's okay, Mrs. Harrington. I can wait." She glared at me angrily and asked, "Wait for what?" I smiled at her, even more deeply, and said provocatively, "Wait until you agree to let me marry Ethan. For that day, I can wait forever, until you close your eyes and die, and can no longer make any decisions." She couldn't believe I dared to utter such a vicious curse, covering her forehead and trembling as she screamed at me, "Claire, do you think you can marry into the Harringtons by making me die of anger? The Harringtons wouldn't want someone who disobeys their elders and is unfilial." As she spoke, she collapsed onto the sofa. I raised an eyebrow and had someone take her to the hospital. She had no idea that marrying Ethan didn't matter to me. What I wanted was simple, I just wanted everyone to be miserable. Later, I heard that Ethan's mother had suffered a sudden brain hemorrhage. Though her life was saved, she was paralyzed and would never walk again. The doctor said that with long-term rehabilitation, there might be some improvement. He looked at Ethan, waiting for him to make a decision. Ethan lit a cigarette, stood by the bedside, and looked down at the woman on the bed. After finishing the cigarette, he said calmly, "Why should I spend money to save a worthless piece of trash? Ethan has always been a vengeful person." Years ago, those words she had spoken to him. Today, he had finally paid her back. 2 years later, Ethan finally got his wish and married me. His mother was right, even without her, there were plenty of people who would have stopped me from entering the Harringtons' doors. To marry me, Ethan fought tooth and nail, offending countless people, and secured the Harringtons' power firmly in his own hands. Sometimes, even I feel tired just looking at him. I asked him, was it worth it? He said he just wanted to prove to me that he was the same as before, still loving me just as much, still willing to give me everything I wanted. He said he had never changed. Looking into his weary eyes, I recalled the days when we were crammed in that tiny basement, with nothing but each other. His eyes always sparkled like stars, filled with hope. Perhaps words can deceive, but love cannot. I thought our brief reunion with Ethan was supposed to be just to say goodbye forever. But he wouldn't let me go, and now we've reached a point with no way back. On our wedding day, Ethan asked me, "Claire, are we finally going to be happy?" I smiled and kissed his lips, whispering, "Don't be silly." Ethan seemed to have forgotten that my Liam never woke up and remained forever at 6 years old. I said, "Ethan, let's just torment each other for the rest of our lives."